Hey guys, how you guys doing? This is XBT786 and we're going to go ahead and quickly do an update for the weekend on Bitcoin. This is going to be a very important update. So for whoever's paying attention, um, you're going to be in for something. So let's see. This is the 8th of February. We just had a Saturday close and CMEs has already closed its weekly candle. So I just want to go off first by telling you guys what we use to trade here, and we use the Sigma Profits trading system. You can find the link in my bio. It is quite pricey. It is $249 a month, and there is extreme value in this if you actually take your trading seriously. We do run promos from time to time, but to be frank, this is just for somebody who's looking to be serious in this. So I'm going to just lay it out for you guys. As of right now, the way the CME's closed, it looks like things are going to be over for a while on Bitcoin. And if things are over for a while on Bitcoin, it means things are over for crypto in general. Now, is this going to provide some pretty good trading opportunities? Yes. Um, if you follow this channel, which is pretty new, we haven't really done any videos on here yet, but we are going to be updating you pretty frequently. You guys can also find me on X, XBT786. You can DM me if you have any questions or anything. I'm going to be posting these videos on there as well. Just to let you guys know, as of right now, it looks like things are looking a lot lower for Bitcoin, which is going to do pretty severe damage on altcoins. So let's go ahead and start. I'm going to give you guys some examples and show you guys why I'm saying this. So give me 1 second. I'm just going to fix my mic real quick. So we're reaching a pretty pivotal point in the market, and everybody's pretty confused as to what's going on because it seems like it tries to pump and then it doesn't. We have these big swings, sometimes around $10,000, $15,000. So it's quite the time right now. Now, if you take all news, political BS, everything, put that to the side, and you purely look at this from a chart perspective, let's go ahead and start. So right here we have the Sigma Profits trading system. It's a way to gauge risk. It's a way to look at things from a trend perspective. It's also a way to kind of figure out if you're buying something, expensive, cheap, or, like more of like the middle, like a good price. And we start off by the weekly. The reason why we start off by the weekly is because when it comes to crypto or Bitcoin in general, the weekly is usually a pretty good time frame to catch some pretty fat swing trades. So let's go ahead and dig into the charts. So right here we have the CME futures Bitcoin chart, and let me bring out my drawing tool. I'm gonna let you guys know. General rule of thumb is this yellow line right here. Once we break above it, we start trending up, and you're gonna see a bunch of opinions online. None of them are gonna matter until this line actually breaks. And this is a whole run right here from uh, back in October of 23. We went from 33,000, and when the line broke, we were at 65,000. And if you guys remember, 65 to 70 was a pretty important area for quite some time last year in 2024 when we had that long consolidation period. Now, if you're an actual trader, this is actually going to be the type of environment that you're looking for. You're going to be looking for where we just start establishing a range for some months, and you're just able to reaccumulate and just kind of rinse and repeat constantly. When we're trending, that's when you kind of just don't have really anything to do other than just kind of wait for this key metric to just break, and then structure changes. So what do we have right now? Well, we have the same exact thing as what we had right here when things changed. We just printed a candle that broke the range. So the trend is, in my opinion, over now. You have to be able to look to either start purchasing some insurance in the form of puts out the money far out, maybe a quarter out, or you just have to start downsizing bags. You have to start reducing risk. Again, this is a risk management system. So we broke this yellow. You have to start managing risk now going forward. Now, I'm going to show you how this chart right here, coupled with the daily chart, how we're going to start trading this, because now we're actually about to enter a trading environment. And again, this has nothing to do with the news. This has nothing to do with social media. This system right here is to allow somebody who wants to actually kind of grasp the whole trading sphere, to learn on their own and to be able to do things on their own. So let's go ahead and point out all the red flags. We have one, the volatility meter. It's blue now. When the volatility is blue, that means a big move is coming in. Now, it's not going to tell you the direction of the move. You have to use everything else in conjunction with this. But it does tell you that a very big move is coming in. It could happen this next week, it could happen in a couple weeks, but we'll dig in deeper. Just be aware that there's a big move coming. And once you have that established, that thought process, now we broke this major support line right here on the weekly time frame. This is going to open up on Sunday below the yellow. We have not done that since we broke up above it November 4th. That week we broke above it and it was just up from there. So now we have a change in behavior. We broke below it. Our first area of interest is going to be around 75 to $77,000. That's going to do major damage to the altcoins. So just keep in mind, now our main area of focus is going to be 77 to 75,000, and it also corresponds with a major gap, um, when uh, when we broke out. So that would be a very very interesting area of interest to kind of start looking to buy around that area. So that's going to be 75 to 77,000. All of this updates each candle open. So you'll be seeing this. If you have the system, you'll be seeing this update. But this is kind of what you want. You want the ability to kind of just know what's going on and being able to block out the rest of the noise. And I'll show you guys right here. Once right here we broke above it, we did trend up for a couple weeks, and then we broke back below it, and that's it. It was game over at that point. Um, I showed you guys this already. We broke above it, and we rallied up for quite some time. Again, back in 2020, we broke above it, and we rallied up. Like, this is just in itself very lucrative if you understand what you're seeing right here. And we broke down and retested around this mid support area. So I would look at it as on the weekly, as long as we are above this yellow line, we are bullish. As long as we are above this mid area, we are going to be like in some sort of like mid phase of the cycle, you could say. Or, there's like the cycle comes in many parts. So it will just be another chapter. Um, And I don't really care if we're below it or above it. I just have to look at context from a certain perspective. But I know that as long as we are below the yellow, we are going to be aggressive with short term trading or swing trades. And swing trades can last maybe about, on average, from what I've back tested, they last about 2 weeks. So now that that's established, that we have broken structure and our primary focus now is going to be on the short side of things or the selling side of things. As long as we are above the yellow, we don't even think short. We don't even try to short. We just know that this is the best area to re-enter a long again, and it typically will work out pretty nicely. So as long as we are above the yellow, just know any reconnects with the yellow is an opportunity. Well, now we are below the yellow. So any reconnects to the upside is going to be a great short opportunity. So just keep that in mind. Now that I've explained to you guys what the weekly is showing and how my personal bias is going to be to the downside, well, now how are we going to trade in between this? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go down to a daily. First off, before we do that, I want to show you guys. Now, this is the CME Bitcoin futures chart. I tend to put more weight on this because this is the actual institutional chart versus just a crypto spot exchange. Now here's the kicker. We still have a day left until the weekly close, but here's the crypto chart. The crypto chart, you're gonna see we are still above the yellow. But if we close tomorrow anywhere below, like let's say 95K, we are going to break that. And as you guys can see, it works the same exact way. As long as we are above the yellow right here, we just been bullish. No matter what bearish news, or no matter what BS comes out, it doesn't matter. And right here, once we broke it, we went down, tested this mid level, came back up. Notice we broke above it. That's one of the reasons why I don't really care to pay attention to the crypto charts. But from there, we just came back down again. And once we broke it, it was just up from there. So let's take a look at CMEs. As you guys can notice, CMEs did not break that area that we were looking at on spot. So, it's just something to pay attention to. But risk, again, on that one trade after you've already ran it up this much, it's going to be very small. You tend to start with the starter position, and on each retest, you just keep adding. And by the time you're right around here, you have a full position to run it up. So that's how we do things. Now, part of the system actually starts having like pretty good resistances around here, but I'm not going to show you guys that right now, but it is included in the package. You'll get a set of ranges, and you'll get the bias, which is the candle colors. White is basically a no trade situation, or kind of like a trap is in the making, versus green, pretty self-explanatory, right? um, so you would start a starter position once it's green, and then once we break above it, start adding, and then you have all your risks to manage below this yellow line. Well, now on spot, this is actually our second white candle. So again, I don't want to get too much into this, but we can stick to the spot chart since most of you guys watch this anyways. So keep in mind, tomorrow, if we close below this yellow line on spot, which we already have on CMEs, and I'll consider that already done, just start focusing your attention to the downside. You're going to see jumps upwards, but I'm going to show you now how on a daily chart we're going to mitigate all of that. Now let's go to the daily. So we have already established pretty much that the weekly structure bias is now turning to the bearish side. So keep that in mind. The weekly structure is now bearish. Of course, we can wait for spot to do its thing tomorrow. You'll probably see like a heavy move, and then it's all meant to confuse you. So now let's go down to a daily. So as long as we have established that the weekly structure is now becoming bearish, you guys will understand the examples that I'm going to show you next. Here we go. Here's a daily. Now this is the 1 day chart. 1 day chart and the daily, they kind of go hand in hand together quite a bit. You can notice the daily volatility started turning blue, and once it started expanding, we just started breaking down. Um, Again, it's a neutral indicator, so you just know big moves are coming when you see the blue. Now, how are we going to trade this? Understanding context of the weekly. Well, first off, same thing kind of applies. Right here, you ride the yellow, and then once it breaks down, you're going to retest the yellow, and that's always going to be like where you short. Now, I didn't focus on shorts because of that golden rule that I told you guys. The weekly was still bullish, so I had no reason to look at a shorter time frame and think that I'm going to just run with this. As long as the weekly was bullish from the beginning of November, which was November 4th week, which is going to be right here, you'll see that we busted up on the daily. We took the weekly buys now seriously, and we just kept riding above it until now that the weekly is turning bearish. So you can consider um, this break right here. All of this is all technically bullish price action. So it's going to be like 70K all the way up to, even 100. But whatever, I'm just going to ignore this because, again, it's in the context of a weekly uptrend. So I'm not going to go against that ever. Now, how are we going to start trading this? Well, if the weekly is in fact broken structure and became bearish, every time the daily hits this top side of the range now, because I would imagine now that we're going to be in between this big range right here, and we're going to take time to fill it out. So every time that the and you'll see this, if we go up, you'll see this starting to come down. Eventually they'll meet up around somewhere, and I'll show you guys examples of that. So right now, anytime that the daily goes back up to the top side of the range, I would imagine this coming down for a bit, especially, after maybe another 7 days or so. It's probably going to come down to maybe, somewhere around 102, 103, and who knows really. But you're going to look for opportunities to sell right here, and you're going to look for opportunities to buy right here. Personally, if we come down here, yes, we will get a bounce. This will probably have came down a lot, and the weekly is going to be bearish. So keep in mind, weekly break of 95K, somewhere around that area was where that yellow line support was. If we're down here at 88, obviously, like we're trading below that range now of the high. It'll be a range high now rather than a support. So, how did this work out in the past? Um, you guys will see this was that long consolidation phase that we had from March all the way until sometime in like October, November. We started breaking out, but again, we don't take this seriously because we wait for the weekly buys to change, and then this was the real breakout. So, for those 6, 7 months, we weren't bearish. We were just trading in a very fat range with many opportunities to to make profitable trades during this whole time. So while everybody's confused, everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. We just basically followed the range, keeping in context of the weekly. And sometime around May to June, the weekly did break. So I'll show you guys right here. Actually, sorry, I can just go right here to spot price, show you guys what's going on. So right here, right in June, the middle of June, you guys probably remember things started getting pretty bearish. Everything was starting to look pretty nasty. We had some bump ups, but you guys will now look at this on the daily. So keep in mind, the, the middle of June, we broke structure. And yes, right now on spot it hasn't, but on CMEs it has. So right here, middle of June we broke. Right here, beginning of Feb, first week of Feb we broke. So people like to look at what happened last year, what happened 4 years ago at this time of the year, all of that. Those are somewhat good kind of things to keep in the back of your mind, but it's just not going to play out the same exact way. So let's go back to spot. Let's understand that once we broke the support on the weekly, uh, things changed to being able to trade a range now. So let's see. The daily had entered a range first prior to the weekly being able to show a structure break. So what happened? Um, Daily broke down. We just kept retesting this, something very similar to what we're seeing right now. Daily broke down, and we just started retesting this daily resistance. Now, we couldn't take action on it yet because of the context of the weekly. The weekly was bullish still, so we couldn't do anything. All we could just assume is that, we're not in a bearish phase just yet. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look for this area, wherever this line is, and however long it takes, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. If it comes down, this is going to be where we're going to be looking to start just shorting now. And hopefully this lasts for 6, 7 months, because that's going to be a lot of work to be able to do. And that's going to be, pretty profitable if you follow this. Now, um, right here, like I said, we just broke down. We started retesting this top side of the support. Ultimately, we came down to the bottom side, and that was a great opportunity now to just start trading the range. We buy the bottom side, sell the top side. So buy the cheap price, sell the expensive price, buy the cheap price. You had a little situation right here, but ultimately there was a trade still. Again, you bought anywhere around the cheap area again. You sold it at the expensive price, bought the cheap price, and then you could play this mid-range stuff right here, but ultimately we just came and retested it, and then until it got expensive again. Now, around this time, things started changing around the weekly. We started, getting the hint that things are going to start changing. The weekly started looking like it was going not ready just yet, but it was getting ready to start becoming bullish. So all of this is opportunity right here, where right here you're just essentially chilling and letting everything, do its thing. So once again, we're in this phase right now. Once we get right here to the bottom side of the daily, just know that the weekly is completely screwed, and you want to just primarily focus to staying in this side of, the thing. You don't want to get FOMO where you're just like every pump up, you're like, oh, this is it now. We're gonna go to 200K. No, you just want to discipline yourself and make sure that as long as the weekly bias is intact, we're just going to be in a range. So that's how you comfort yourself to know, okay, well, these guys now are just being kind of bland and vague, and they're just like, yeah, this is going to take months to sort out, and we're just going to kind of be, in an accumulation phase or whatever. Well, here I'm presenting you the opportunity to be able to profit while we're in that phase. And if you do this right, you're going to probably be looking forward to more of these than actual trending moves. So, what am I trying to say now? We're going to be in this range now. This is all that matters now. If you want to leverage trade this futures, whatever, you can do it that way, or you can just buy whatever your alt bag is right here and then sell it up here and then buy it back right here, sell it up here in more of like a spot format. So that way it's a lot less risky. Sure, you can do that. But now, as of right now, all I'm interested in is how where areas um, of interest to the upside and where areas to the interest to the bottom side. Now, if we test 88 first, it means the weekly is completely done. Its trend is toast, and we're just going to look for bounces to short. So once the weekly becomes bearish, keep in mind your shorts are going to pay more than your longs. That's just the way it goes. And here's a perfect example. Um, Once the weekly became bearish on the weekly, we started filling out this range on the daily. So we had more opportunities to short higher on. This looks a little different than how the spot one looks, but it's irrelevant because on spot, clearly these top sides of the ranges were very lucrative to short down. So you had bigger moves to the downside than you did on the upside. Notice the moves to the upside were not that strong because the weekly bias was what was governing everything. So every time we'd move up, we'd come down, move up, come down, and you had a general area of interest. Now, what we're doing next is I'd like to see a nice move up somewhere around 100, 102, something like that. And then after that, reject and then just really slam down. That'd be my preferred scenario. But since we're around this mid level area, it's really going to be based off the bias. And if the weekly bias now is changing to bearish, I have to assume that any buying opportunities are going to come around here, and I have to be patient now and let it come to me. Any areas to the upside is going to be an area where I'm just going to be able to sell it no matter what the news is about Trump opening up some kind of Bitcoin or crypto strategic. None of that matters. None of that matters. Notice when inauguration came around and whatever he was, talking about, we just had wicks up. We weren't able to break anymore. We weren't able to trend. All that good news meant nothing. It just ripped people apart. So we are now kind of stabilizing to where we can start trading a range. So I'm going to let you guys go with that. Just know that the bottom side is going to be around 88, 89,000, and the top side is going to be, as of right now, 109. Now, this is going to update every single day and probably start coming down. And once you start seeing it around 101, 102, it's probably going to be um, somewhere around there for a while. So, do I think the overall run is over? No. I think this year has still got chance to be pretty bullish. I think there's still, probably going to be another big run to come around. But I think right now the smartest thing to do is to get your mind molded into, okay, yes, we can wait till tomorrow for spot to see if that area breaks, but CME broke it already. CME is a way more stronger chart. It's more where institutions, are going to control price, and you can start using spot once spot actually shows you a break. We're very close to it. We're just about $1,000 away. So if Bitcoin drops $1,000 by tomorrow, weekly is going to be toast, and we're going to be looking for this mid-cycle kind of support thing. That is it, guys. You guys can find me on X at XBT786. Let me just write it down real quick so y'all can see it. XBT786. XBT786 on X. And from time to time, I'm gonna put updates, but try to pay attention to these analysis videos. Kind of know what we're doing, and just know now that if we break tomorrow right here, I've already considered it broken on CMEs. But if, let's just say, if you're just looking at this sold chart alone of spot, once we break below it, any bounce is going to be a selling opportunity. So the candles are white. Look at this. The candles are white. It was just a whole range area, and you can see this whole price action from you can say 15, or I'm sorry, the 22nd of April all the way up to like first week of October, October 7th right here, October, yeah, 7th. That week was when we started doing things differently, and the weekly was starting to look like it was going to become bullish. Now, yeah, we have something similar now like this. We can potentially do all of this all the way into June, and then maybe change things around. But we'll wait and let that come to us. So once again, you guys can find me on X at XBT786. This whole thing right here is the Sigma Profits trading system. Like I said, it's $249 a month. It's worth at least checking out for 1 month, especially if you're new to this. You want to have better habits than going through every single indicator, going down every rabbit hole of trading. A lot of things are different nowadays, but if you're able to manage risk a certain type of way, you will be profitable over time. Now, yeah, so in conclusion, this weekly from the CME's perspective is now broken structure. I'm only interested in the mid 70s area for now. Any bounces, because there will be bounces, are going to come, are going to be selling opportunities. Let's just put a standard fib from the high to the low for now. High to the low from now, I'm looking at somewhere around 103. So just like I told you guys, 102, 103, that's going to be a good area to sell. And if we go down to like a 4 hour, for example, you guys will probably see what I'm talking about. Okay, on CMEs, it's still around 109, and the daily is going to be around 112. So um, let's look at spot because spot has more price action. Let's go down to Bitstamp right here, guys, 103. So for now, we're really stuck in a tight consolidation phase. Also, another thing too, guys, just kind of random, but usually you come down, and then after you test this, that second one is usually a pretty good one to go test that high again. So right here, second one, one, two, up, one, two, up, one, two. You can kind of have an up, but again, this is a 4 hour. Forget all of this. Don't even worry about this. But just know that the area of interest is going to be around 102, 103. Do I think that's going to happen? I mean, we had a test yesterday to 100. We had a couple days ago right around 102 and a half to that pretty much could be the test right there. So again, because the weekly is bearish on CMEs, um, I just have to focus my attention to the downside as opportunity, and the upside opportunity is going to be an opportunity to sell. So keep that in mind, guys, that the opportunity right now is to be able to sell on bounces and buy back on quote unquote dumps. So once again, you guys can find me on X at XBT 786. You guys can find the link in the bio if you're interested in getting the system and trying it out. And if you have any questions on how to set things up, or if you guys have any questions on how to, learn the system a little bit more, you're always welcome to DM me any questions. I will be always talking about this system in my analysis videos. And yeah, you guys do whatever you guys want to do. I'm just giving you my perspective, and I'm showing you guys a system that I use, and also how it's worked out in the past. So have a great rest of the weekend. We'll probably be back if things start rolling over, or if we hit anywhere on that upside part of that range. So I'm looking somewhere around 102 to 103. If we get that again, just consider that another area of interest. Now, here's another thing, guys. If we go up to 102 to 103 and we haven't broken on spot yet, that's going to be a little, let's just say, interesting, because what I'm sort of expecting is like maybe tomorrow we come down, break below it, and then we can bounce. But just the fact that we broke below it, all the bounces are going to be selling off. They're just going to be meant to be selling off. And we'll see that in real time as we keep making videos. So take care, guys. And yeah, reach out if you guys have any questions. I'm XBT786, and I'm here to give you guys my perspective on the overall crypto market. Take care, guys. Have a great rest of the week.